Hi, I'm David Cantor with the law offices of David Michael Cantor, and welcome to my blog. I'm going to focus on the Tucson shooting today, and specifically how the Arizona legislature has a bill in front of it to pass a law which would allow teachers and students on college campuses to arm themselves. Now this law, that's with concealed weapons without a concealed weapon permit. This proposed law was proposed prior to the Tucson shooting. And the sheriff down in Pima County made comments on this, saying how ridiculous this is to allow people to walk around with a gun. I tend to agree with him, and here's why. The arguments are, what do you do if there's a shooter on campus and somebody else produces their gun and they run to go take care of the shooter, but then the SWAT team arrives and they see a man running with a gun and they shoot the wrong guy? And what if other students pull their guns and they see the second student with a gun who's actually trying to be helpful and they start shooting at him? There's problems here. If you round the corner and you see one guy shooting at another guy, you have to decide who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And there's where problems arise. I think more practically the problem is this. You're on campus. You see a guy who looks different than you do. Maybe he has long hair, maybe he has a shaved head, maybe he has tattoos. And then you notice there's a gun sticking out of his jacket. You become concerned and you call the campus police. Well, the campus police are going to be getting calls all the time of reports of suspicious looking person with a gun, because college students look more suspicious than adults. And that's because they look different. Normally as you get older, your hair becomes short and we all kind of look alike. But when you're in college, anything goes. And God bless college. That's the way it should be. So I think that creates problems. Now, here's how I'm tying this in with the Tucson shooting. There was an individual named Joe Zamudio who was coming around the corner when he heard shots fired. And he was actually armed. And he was interviewed on the news that he says he rounded the corner, was poised with his gun raised, pointed, and he said he saw a man holding a gun, and his quote was, "And that's who I first thought was the shooter. I told him to drop it, drop it." These are direct quotes. But unfortunately, the gun he was pointing at the other man who had a gun was one of the people who wrestled Jared Lee Loughner to the ground and had disarmed him. So he was pointing a gun at somebody who was a good guy. And thank God he hadn't fired off any rounds. Now he also said that he was lucky that he didn't fire, and he was worried that if the SWAT team got there, they might mistake him as the actual shooter. So he actually put his gun away rather quickly. And I think when you go to a college campus and everybody's running around armed, there's going to be a tragedy one day. And the tragedy is going to be there's a real shooter, and then there's going to be good people trying to help who end up getting shot by other good people who are trying to help. But that's what I think. Tell me what you think.